Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of It's Happening Now. To my left, we have Chris. Then we have Scott, Devin, me, Greg. Today we're gonna be talking about Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin interview, Joe Biden and his garage full of classified information, and why he doesn't get charged, but Trump gets charged when he had complete authority to have the classified information. So let's get this started. And who wants to start us off? And we'll just go down that road.
I'll admit I watched 98% of the interview. I didn't get to watch the last 10
I was
minutes.
about to say I didn't watch any of it.
Slackers.
I tried hard. I got tired last night. I missed the last 10 minutes. But from what I saw something very interesting. As long as he's truthful in what he was saying, Putin's been more than willing to work with not only the US, but other countries. And at every turn, they're like, no, go away. We want nothing to do with you, basically.
You know what I took from it? I took the fact that, one, Putin is a very smart man. He's not what the media portrays him to be, some dictator, barbarian, nutwad out there. He is very articulate. He is
He's
very
definitely
data driven. You know what I mean?
Definitely a thinking man.
So what I learned is we have a intelligence community that undercuts our government. So our government, our president, our Congress, our Senate, our judicial system is basically just smoke and mirrors. And we have an intelligence complex that is undercutting our government. So it doesn't really matter what your president says. It doesn't really matter what your Congress does, because the deep state underneath that is doing what they want and controlling everything else through threats, through, I guess, espionage. So if somebody goes against them, then the entire weight of the CIA comes down with the deep state of the FBI, and they set them up or they coerce them to do their bidding. So I learned that America's in a much bigger problem than I ever thought it was.
Right. My whole thing with it, though, is like they everybody got mad at Tucker Carlson for doing it, and it's like if I got Zelensky's side, Ukraine's side, I would like to know Russia's side, Vladimir Putin. I would like to hear from both sides. I mean, if we're not at a war, it's not illegal to do that.
Right.
Well,
but like they say that Tucker Carlson should have never done it. It's like we're not supposed to be involved in this war.
Technically, we're not supposed to be involved, but we keep funding it.
We need Congress's approval to even be a part of the war, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, think about this. If I did something wrong and all you guys knew what I did wrong, you know what I mean? But you didn't know the whole truth, or you didn't know all circumstantial evidence of it. I told you my side, and I told you my accomplice's side. I would not want you to know the other people's side.
Yeah, the victim's side.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because
not saying anybody's a victim. Oh shit! Not saying anybody's a victim here. I'm just saying, like,
well, I don't think anybody's a victim, but they're in the interview. Putin told Tucker that, he said, look, I warned the U.S. I said repeatedly, don't do this, don't do that. Please don't force my hand, basically. And we didn't listen. No. We forced his hand. He finally said, okay, this is what you want.
Well, is that what they actually wanted, though?
I think
that's they wanted.
Yeah, that's the question.
But this is all just on the basis of whether or not this is actually true or not. Again, this is a leader of a nation that we have been at odds with for quite a long time.
Have we?
No. Yeah, that's have we.
Whether or not that the people have felt at odds with them or not does not matter, because from what I understand about history up to this point, our country, or whoever had been leading our countries, has been at odds with Putin up to this point.
Okay.
Under Trump,
that's correct.
Under Trump, though, we got along with Russia pretty well.
We can get along with him in a capacity, but
we're not like they're not a part of
but
NATO.
That's of recent times,
right? But they're not. We don't have an alliance with them. but we can
No.
get along with them.
Well, I would like to try to get along
Well-
with any power, no matter what it is, as long as they maintain a decorum of peace.
I have to look at it like this, okay? And I have to. I listened to what Vladimir Putin said, and I thought, propaganda? You know what I mean? Is he just coming off trying to seem like the nice guy who has been cornered by the United States over and over again? So I had to step back and I thought, okay, let's look for the truth. All right. What have I seen? I have seen no real aggressions from Russia on anybody. I mean,
No.
did they have their conflicts? I can say that about America. We're constantly bombing the Middle East.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, we're dropping bombs like
It's like what Trump said. Are we really innocent here?
No,
when
right.
he had that interview with Hannity.
So
It's-
I listen to what he says, and then I think, okay, Trump gets in office, and you could tell there's a deep state operating behind the scenes. They tried to impeach him twice. They tried to. I mean, the CIA and the FBI literally knew the information they had was a lie. They knew it was from Hillary Clinton. They knew it was opposition research that was completely made up. Yet they pushed it as fact. The CIA, the FBI, our own government pushed this as fact against a legitimately voted in president. So I asked myself, if this happens to our president that we voted in,
What are they doing to other countries?
what are they
and
doing to other
leaders?
countries?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I'm sure
that's,
we all
that's the
know.
truth, though. Is like Russia hasn't been at our throats at all.
I mean,
Like,
aside from the
I
Cold
don't
War, I
understand.
mean,
right,
since the Cold
but that's
War,
been over since.
but
forever.
honestly, that was kind of both sides. You know, I mean, we
Yeah.
were worried about them because of their military capability or their advancements. They were worried about us for the same reason. So there was some tension there. I
well, you
get
would
it.
you would
know what
be
I
if
mean?
you're
Right.
like again they're a nation that is not aligned with us.
right.
Like if you're the UK, I mean the like England and stuff like that. Like we all have an alliance with them.
Right.
We don't have one with Russia,
Right,
so
right.
of course
And
you
I
would be
understand that
looking at
there's
the
some
other.
tension there,
Yeah, you would
right.
also be looking at the other side and being like, "What are y'all doing over there?
Right.
Should I step my game up because y'all are doing whatever over there?"
Well,
Right.
as if you watch the interview, you'll
I
see
haven't watched it.
where
I did all but the last 10 minutes.
where you'll see Putin asked President Clinton, "Can I be a member of NATO?"
Right.
He wanted to join NATO. He's like, "Look,
Yeah.
the fall of the Soviet Union, the USSR,
Mhm.
has fallen. We have now become a more of a market-based economy.
Right.
We're no longer communism, and that's what the Cold War was about. Whose ideology was better?
Right.
Open free market or communism?
Right.
You know, so it was more of a we're better than you. We have higher technology.
Right.
We can drill a hole deeper than you. Which is better? Which is better for the advancement of the human condition?" Well, he asked Clinton, "Can I be a member of NATO?" And Clinton goes, "Well, I don't see why not." Well, a few hours later, they go to dinner, and Clinton says, "No, my people say no."
Yeah.
Well, he's the president. Whose people?
Right.
Who is
Who's behind the
circumventing-
curtain?
right, or behind the curtain, telling the president, "No, they can't."
No.
The
Well, it could've-
president
that
is
could've-
control of foreign policy.
It could have been like the Pentagon or something. He asked whoever's in
But
charge
he
over
is
there.
still-
And
Who's in
his-
charge
well, I'm saying
over
his-
the
But
president?
he
well, I'm
is
saying
still
his
in
ge-
charge.
I'm saying his generals there could have give him
Well, but
like
why?
told him like, "Hey, man, this isn't a good idea."
Why not?
I
But why?
don't
Yeah,
know.
why would-
I'm not
why-
saying that. I'm just saying that like it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody above the president was saying no. It could have been his advisor saying, "Man, that's not a good idea."
But nonetheless,
he's the
you
president.
are the
He-
will
he
of
makes-
the people.
he
If you
make-
are the president of the United States, you are the will of the people. If you decide that this is a good measure and you have the will of the people, it doesn't matter what anyone on your on your staff says in Congress. It
They're
doesn't matter
your-
what anybody says at
They're
that
your
point.
advisors for a
It doesn't
reason.
matter. You
does.
own policy because you
It-
are the ones that are following the will of the people. We picked you for a reason to do this policy.
Right.
If you don't follow,
And you also pick your advisors to advise you on situations
This is
that you
true,
may
but-
not be too
But
privy to.
what
Why-
could go wrong? Bringing
I'm not saying I'm
Alright.
just saying like if you run a company and you have advisors and they're like, "Hey, you shouldn't do this. You should sell your product for this." And you're like, "No, I'm going to sell it for this." And then it doesn't sell.
Right.
And then you're like, "Why didn't that work?" Well, your advisors told you
I
not
mean,
to do that.
how could bringing in a supposed enemy of your state into your alliance be bad? What's he going to do?
The
I'm not saying
allowance
it.
of it to grow in economic power.
Well, how is that?
Possibly.
How is a military alliance going to do that?
But they,
Oh, it's not a military. NATO is not a military alliance.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Well, I mean, it is, but it's also a trade
It's the United
organization.
Nations. They have a whole army.
Well,
North Atlantic Trade Organization. That's what it is.
Right,
It's to promote and influence trade and security of those nations' trade
Right.
around the world. So,
But they also have an army.
But I understand that. But it would increase its ability to grow funds, to be more effective in the marketplace, and maybe allow it to grow its economy. I mean, it could become a danger, but there is no danger if we're making money on it as well, because our economy would
I
also
think
grow.
I think he
hold on.
said
Real quick,
I
real
think
quick.
he said no because China didn't want Russia to be a part of it.
Real quick.
At that point in time,
Russia and China have
but
an
at
alliance.
that point in time, China really wasn't all
just
that
give me
much of
5
anything.
seconds. We have
Good.
misinformation. And NATO is not North. What did you say?
Oh, it's
North
a treaty
Atlantic.
organization.
It's
I'm
treaty.
sorry.
North Atlantic.
It is a treaty organization.
So
Right.
if you're bringing a country in who's supposedly your enemy,
It's a treaty.
it's a treaty.
And look, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying like there's a lot that we don't understand. You know what I mean?
don't understand.
well, but
No, what I've taken from it,
I would
is-
say that Russia, if they asked to become a part of NATO, the right thing to do at that point would be like, okay, let's see where we can go with this and go ahead and
right.
sign the contract, sign the dotted line.
Right. So what I say is, America does this because they need an opposition out there. They need to just tell us Russia's bad, Russia's bad, Russia's bad. Control, control, control. Control the people by making them think Russia's bad. You know what I mean?
I mean, I see the real threat of the United States as China.
No, it's
but-
absolutely China. They have slaves. They mistreat people constantly. They manipulate their currency. But China's our friend.
They do no, don't they do like organ
Wait.
harvesting too?
Yes.
who told you
North-
China was our
Well,
friend?
That everybody in the government.
Well, at least the way we act is.
That I'll give you. The way we act is, but I mean, I've known forever that China is not our friend. They're out for themselves. Period.
if you ever bought China products, you know they're not your friend
Right.
because you pay money for it and then it breaks in 2
In
seconds.
2 seconds, right?
And you're
I
like,
liked when Hillary Clinton said that Russia was her enemy, but she was the one that sold them plutonium.
yes, that's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? So over
It
here,
made no sense to me when she said that. I was like,
Right.
but you're the one who sold the
I think-
plutonium to.
I think Greg's right. I think Russia's been villainized for a long time. When honestly,
need
he's
it.
been sitting
Yeah.
back and he's like, I'll be friends with you as long as we have a mutual agreement,
right.
a mutual understanding.
Again,
I understand
no.
the thing with Ukraine with when they went after Ukraine is like, I mean, if you're Russian, you have Ukraine right there beside you, and you have the might of the United States military. You wouldn't want them to take over your neighbor's house and put rockets pointing right at
right?
you.
You know,
Right.
that's
I
Like, hey,
agree
we
with
need
you.
we need a space. You know what I mean? We need a what
A
do you call
buffer
it?
zone.
Yeah, we need a buffer zone, and that's all Putin really
Well,
wanted,
but
and that's what he
not-
was trying to tell them is stay out, and they wouldn't stay out. So
Nonetheless, there needs to be some responses from people that were mentioned here that he said some things, or that he said things too, that I want to know their responses if this is accurate.
right.
I mean, Boris Johnson came out and said everything was lies about Putin going to be winning this war, and that he said that Tucker Carlson was a traitor for doing this interview, but he did not ever say, at least as far as from
how
what
is
I've read,
Putin losing the war? I
but
mean,
he never denied the claim that he stopped this war in the first place. Where is the journalism that is coming out that is getting these people on record on these responses to what has been
well
levied?
for
I mean,
one,
seriously.
the propaganda being put out that Putin's losing the war is crazy anyway. I mean, look at how much money we, as the United States, have given to Ukraine to even stay in the war. They've ran out of ammo. They've ran out of all types of. They cannot sustain this war. Putin's already had his foot on their neck.
As long as
and
our money machine,
as long
keeps pumping
as
out,
we
then
keep
can, but-
paying for the war,
Well, and
people
that's-
hold on, but people on both sides, and it's just like Trump said, people on both sides are dying. Why don't we just stop? The more we fund Ukraine, the more people die. Both on both sides, Russian and Ukrainians die because we are
That's-
sending money over there to fund them. And where's all that money at?
And
I read
that's
something
the
the
other
other day where
thing.
there's a lot of that money.
unaccounted
just
for.
gone.
Yeah, unaccounted for.
Mhm.
That's the
Like
other.
that is Ukraine. Look, I don't want anybody to die over there. That it is what it is. They've definitely got something going on over there, but it's just, to me, it's becoming a money laundering effort.
Well,
That's what it seems like to
in
me.
the
Or it's an
video,
effort.
Putin
a psyop.
says that after World War II, Stalin wanted to make the states, the USSR, they're autonomous states, basically satellite states. They're Russia,
Right.
but they operate independently,
On their
but under
own.
Russia's control.
Kind of like ours.
Right, kind of like ours. So he really wanted that. After World War II, they decided that Ukraine would be a neutral state because, and around 2008, because NATO kept doing after the pushes into
Poland,
Europe. You know what I mean? Into Poland, closer and closer to Russia. So they signed agreements saying Ukraine would be a neutral state,
Yeah,
and
buffer
Russia
zone.
had no problem with that.
Wait, was it after World War II? Was it after the?
Well, it was
It was after the fall of the Soviet Union.
It was from World War II to Soviet
To
Union.
the Cold War and all that. Yeah.
Well, he
USSR. It was after the Cold War
yeah,
finalized. We made agreements
That's right.
apparently that that NATO would not
Well,
push in, and that
right.
Ukraine would stay a neutral party, so
Right.
that there is a buffer zone.
What I'm saying, yeah, after World War II, NATO kept expanding, and the last straw was in after the fall of Soviet Union in the 1980s, when President Reagan said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall," and so they collapsed Russia. They changed the entire government style because they wanted to be accepted into the world. They're
Mhm.
like, "Look, we don't want to do this anymore. We want to be a part of the world community." So we're collapsing the communism. We're going to open up into a market society so we can benefit like the rest of the world. We want to be part of the European and American trade groups.
Yeah.
Right.
So in
The alliance.
2008, the America's like, open the gates or just the European countries, open the gates for Ukraine to be a member of NATO. Well, he's like, no. You know what I mean? You promised, you signed agreement saying
It
Ukraine.
didn't sign. It was a verbal agreement.
Well, no, there was that they had
That leads
an
us up-
agreement. I can't remember. It started with an M, and they said, and America goes, well, things changed. We don't want to go by that agreement anymore.
Well,
So we're going to go ahead and not listen to that.
Right.
Putin says it was a verbal agreement. At
Well,
least that's what he said in the interview.
I kind of remember him saying they had a signed
That was
agreement.
that was for the signed
The-
agreement for the ceasefire, or for the end of the war.
Well,
I think-
They had an end of the war agreement ready
what war?
for this current war.
No, this you're getting ahead of me. So in 2008, they decided, that we didn't want to agree that Ukraine was going to be a neutral state, so that we're going to go ahead and invite them into NATO. Well, if that's like China, Russia, Iran having a group of people, an alliance, and then Mexico going, yeah, we're going to join. Are you going to let the enemy build bases and missiles and troops all on your border? No,
Absolutely
you're gonna-
not.
Yeah, you're going to like, no, they're a neutral state. You know what I'm saying?
Well-
So he had to react. He's like, no, so we're not doing this.
I think one of the important parts we're forgetting is, as long as he's being truthful, Putin said he is willing and has tried to make a peace agreement
Yeah.
with Ukraine right now to stop
He
all of
has,
this.
and that's probably why
And-
Boris Johnson said that, is because it says right here that Putin claims Boris Johnson talked Ukraine out of peace deal.
He
Right.
did.
That's what
He
I was
did.
saying.
Right.
Yes.
Where is the journalism that is asking these people
Right.
these questions?
Yeah.
Right.
Instead, Boris Johnson go, it's all lies. It's like, I mean, did you really do that though?
Yes.
Like, I mean,
Yes.
So-
Otherwise, the leaders of Ukraine could go to the table with Putin. They could sign a peace
They
agreement.
did.
He said we could end this right now
As-
peacefully.
Devin
I
was
think they want
mentioning-
World War III.
As
Yeah,
Devin
I mean,
was
that's-
mentioning, they went to Istanbul.
Mhm.
They signed an agreement. The
Right.
top officials of Ukraine, they initialed on provisions. Not all
Right.
the provisions.
Right.
It never happens in a peace agreement.
No.
They agreed to it.
Right.
and they were ready to sign. This was 8 months, a year, I think is what
He said a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago. So
right.
a year. This war's been going on for 2 years.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago,
Mhm.
this all could have ended. But
Mhm.
Boris Johnson
Talked them out
came
of it,
in
right.
and talked Ukraine out of it. They said, no, we're not going to do it.
because
They said
they would
we'll fund the whole thing.
Yeah.
right. That's what I'm saying.
And-
They want us to fund it,
So
and we're funding a losing war, man. It's our money, the United
Right.
States citizens, and we're paying for most of this. That's the really messed up part.
why isn't this guy that talked Ukraine out of it answering for this? I mean,
Because he's a part of the deep state. Now,
Yeah.
man, he just hides back there.
Wait,
he just pops
wait,
out every
wait,
once in
wait.
a while.
nobody's
Yeah,
seen
once in a
him.
while.
I mean, look, we
Yeah.
found
Hey,
found one guy in a cave in a whole big country. We can't find this dude.
He's not-
I mean, come on.
I mean, he's not
hiding
hiding
like
like that. He's just not been in the
He's
media
avoiding.
until
He's
just the other
avoiding.
day.
He's
Yeah.
avoiding it.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Well-
not avoiding the media. The media is actively working with these people.
Yeah.
It is not. It is
Right.
not avoidance.
right. Well,
I mean, if you just get
I mean, yeah,
called
you're
out
right.
and get told that you are, how do you say it?
I don't want to say called out. I would say
Called
your
out
your
for
secret got
saying-
put out there,
Well,
and
no,
now
I'm
you
not
have to
talking
react.
about Boris. I'm talking about who did they interview? I'm saying if you get called out for being a traitor, if Tucker Carlson
yeah,
gets
Tucker.
called out for being a
Yeah.
traitor just for going and getting a side of a story, and they're saying that he just went for a scoop. Like,
Oh.
really, that's the whole point of journalism.
Yeah,
Is to
that's what I was about
find
to say. I
out the
thought that was
truth
the
so that
point.
we, the people,
Right.
can make honest decisions and figure out what is going on.
Yeah, because how can you come up with your own opinion if you're just hearing a one-sided story? You
can't.
need
You
need
can't,
both sides
right.
of the
How
story
can I
so you can
vote
do that.
effectively? How can I
You
make
can't.
decisions? And this is why
Can't.
this is why we constantly in this country fight over what is that word when you have transparency in the government. We don't have transparency, and it's becoming even more clear that we don't even have we don't have any level of transparency in
Well,
this government. We have no
we-
clue what's going
there's
on.
there's shadow governments and whatever that are actively working against everything that is trying to be done in
Presumably,
the right way. Presumably,
I can't
right.
even say presumably anymore
I
because
mean,
the
yeah.
evidence.
we
The
out
can't
evidence just
there-
keeps
we
stacking
can't
up
say
more
that
and more and more.
It's not evidence that has been verified.
Okay, look. Now I'm going to verify this. And
I just
hold on. The papers.
More important
came
people
out-
than us haven't verified
Hold
it.
on.
The papers have come out that the CIA killed Kennedy.
Right.
Okay, so the
Did
CIA killed an active sitting president
They
of the United
did actually
States.
come out. and
That's
say
Did
not
they
a
really
shadow
say that?
that.
government.
And then they redacted it. Or
You know
they-
what I mean? That's not somebody
Right.
working behind the scenes saying, well, this guy, we don't like him, so we're going to kill him. We're going to put Johnson in, who's our guy, because that way he'll do our bidding. I mean, right now, Biden cannot even maintain a sentence. I mean, it's America's, you know what I mean? If he
I
is
understood
that,
that. I'm kidding.
if he's who's running the country, Biden or the guy writing the teleprompter?
What?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So-
and we don't even know beyond that. I mean, there might be another guy behind the curtain there
I'm sure
that's
there's- and I
pulling
bet-
strings. You know,
I bet it's part of the industrial military complex.
Right.
That's who's running
Perhaps.
the show. I mean, even in the interview, Putin, Tucker Carlson says, well, if you had this agreement, you have the papers, and you have all this, why don't you win on a propaganda war? So showing that we tried to end this. He goes, and
he laughed.
Putin laughs and
yeah.
he says, why? He goes, all of the NATO countries are just satellite countries of the United States. They control the media around
Right.
the
The
world.
US
Yeah, so you can
controls
say
the
whatever
medium.
you want in Russia. The only
Medium.
people who's going to hear are the people in Russia.
Yeah, she said nobody's going to hear it.
Yeah.
He goes, it does me no good to try. And I look at TV and I look at the media and I look at media and most
Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram. I mean, even your social media, man. It doesn't give you the
Any
truth.
news,
It
right.
feeds you stuff, and then it ghosts you too. I mean, it shadow bans you too. I mean, I've been had that happen to me,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It's
Every single platform that we put this stuff out on, anybody puts anything out on, has rules and things that you are or are not allowed to say.
The hell
And-
you said.
and it's
I would
ruled
say
by- it's-
certain people
it's
are allowed
true.
to say or not say certain
Well,
You
things.
mean
but
like
that's
30
things that are defined by certain groups that say that this is accurate or inaccurate information, and then you can get
Right, but like
taken off your pen.
it's also this too though. Like, so say they want to shut you up, but they can't because you have influence, you have a more following than I do. But they can
Right.
shut me up because I don't.
You mean like 30
Well,
seconds
but
we had to
they-
take out of one of our
they-
videos?
they-
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, because we're not
because
big
we
enough
said
to
something somebody didn't like.
They-
right, because we're not big enough to talk about certain things.
They shut people down.
They shut it down. They can't shut down a Steven Crowder, a Tim Pool, a Joe Rogan.
They can,
but they
they
can.
do.
They can,
but
and
they get
have.
away with a lot more.
You're right.
We
They
said
do.
one
They
word
because
and
they
they
have-
shut our video down.
Well, just
30
because
seconds
they
of
have-
something we said.
they have
shut us
the
down.
ability to get that information out.
Well, they have lawyers and
around
everything
them.
else.
Yeah.
So like we don't. So and they know that.
Well,
So they can shut you up because you're small.
We're
They can bully
nobodies.
you.
Right. We're
They can't
nobodies.
bully a Joe Rogan, a Tim Pool, a Steven Crowder because
But
they have
they-
lawyers that can dig through that stuff and say, no, you're wrong. Put my video
but
back
they
up.
did. They took him off of YouTube.
I mean, they did Steven
Right.
Crowder.
And
Yeah,
they
they
took Steven Crowder off of YouTube.
yeah they did
But then
Steven
he got his
Crowder.
own platform. You
They
know
did
what I
it
mean?
Steven
A
Crowder, but
different
Steven
platform.
Crowder fights that and then usually ends up winning, and then they have to put him back on, and then they'll wait for him to do something else, and they'll slap him right back down, and then he'll come right back. That's why he's on Rumble
They
now.
want
But
him off so bad. But that's what we're saying is they let you. And I mean, it was a lot.
what I'm saying is
worse.
he's got to fight that like that. How do we?
We don't.
we
It's
can't. Like
2020. You know what I mean? It was much worse during the election.
yeah,
I mean,
it was bad.
I was a moderator on a conservative. Well, it wasn't conservative. It was a community forum and 22,000 members.
Right.
I was a monitor on this. I was shadow banned.
Mhm.
I was censored. I would make posts that were completely true. I mean, it might have just been a Donald Trump ad.
Nobody wants the
It
truth.
could have been a true news story about the happenings in America or a riot that was going on in Milwaukee. No one would see it.
Milwaukee.
No one.
Oh, never mind.
Well, because-
Wisconsin, yeah, Milwaukee.
Well, Somebody's writing their own narrative. They don't want
If
all the information out there or the
It-
truth out there.
our First Amendment is freedom of press, and the press
No,
is not
it's
free
not.
anymore.
Right. Say no,
So-
not
Well,
anymore.
It's not that it's not free
No.
anymore. It's that they've
It's not free.
bought it up, and then they just use it as a propaganda.
If they're threatening Tucker Carlson for freedom of press,
Right.
he can't be threatened.
Well, no, I agree.
So-
yeah, they shouldn't be doing that.
No, because
Didn't they put some?
I mean,
sort
look
of,
what they said. The dude who made this about Joe. Yeah, I can't talk. Joe Biden, where he basically did the same thing they were trying to charge Trump with, except for Trump had presidential powers to be able to do it. So
Right.
that's why it makes no sense they came after Donald Trump. But then they're saying they can't charge, and it doesn't say president, it says Mr. Biden.
right.
With anything, it says prosecutors said it was possible that Mr. Biden would present himself to a jury as he did during our interview to film or of him as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And this is your president. This is the president of the United States.
Okay.
They can't charge him because he has
So-
memory issues.
Okay.
So that excludes him.
But then
from
go ahead. I'll
from
find what I'm looking
punishment.
for.
I mean,
I thought it was just having those documents that was just
well,
illegal.
look. I mean,
as a president, you can declassify it.
Okay,
Declassify
now-
it.
Well, I know as a
anything-
president,
any
but
information.
like anyone
He-
else, right?
Let's go back.
No
in
one
the-
else can.
Right. So why does he have that stuff?
Hold on. Let me add
Should
this
be
He
in.
wouldn't.
Let's go back in the Wayback Time Machine. These were
way back.
these were documents were dating back to the 70s
Mhm.
and on. Top secret.
That were
all
not
right.
declassified.
He wasn't president. He
He
wasn't.
wasn't
he was never the
president, right.
president. Yeah.
He has no.
He has no
ability or authority
to
to do
have
that,
those.
right.
And that's what makes it like they're saying they can't charge him because of memory problems. And it's like
And that's
our president.
I also
right.
Like he can be the president,
But
but,
he
you
can't
can't
be-
he can't stand trial.
All right.
That's basically what they're
Right.
saying is
And
he
that's not
can't
right.
stand trial
Because
you know what I
he's
mean because of
too
memory
senile.
issues.
Too
Yeah.
senile.
right.
But he
Okay.
can be
I mean,
president. He can run
right.
the country.
No, right. That's the problem. Look, I mean, I might understand, not charging him with something if he doesn't. If you do something you truly don't remember it. I mean, I know you still did it. I get that, but you don't.
Medicare.
You don't know or can't learn that you did something
That-
wrong because you don't remember it.
Hey,
But he should not be running our country if he can't remember yesterday.
that
I
statement,
mean,
all right, makes me feel like there's troubling times in our kingdom.
there
be-
are troubling
because-
times in our kingdom.
He did it when he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But
A lot of this top secret information was Ukraine. Okay. Where did his son work?
in Ukraine.
At Burisma.
Right. I get that.
But
So-
that's what I'm saying. This is CBS News. This isn't like some weird
Nobody. Right.
nobody's.
I
This is
understand that.
CBS
Yeah,
News. Special counsel finds Biden willfully disclosed classified documents, but no criminal charges warranted.
Yeah,
This isn't he did something
There-
stupid. This is criminal charges. Like he could be criminally charged for what he did,
Mm.
but they're like, nah, he's got memory issues. He can't be charged.
But-
And that's I mean,
They're
that's not
also-
saying that they're not right, because you can't charge somebody who has dementia. They can't stand trial.
Right. Let's go with the fun scenario here. let's say 3 people go
I
and
think-
rob a bank.
I think
Right?
it's I think
Right.
I
Let's say
think
they
this
just-
whole thing is a setup, so when he's out of office, they cannot charge him.
where am I at?
Let's just
Where are you people?
Yeah. Right.
let's just say that 3 people go and rob a bank. All right, and they
Greg's got dementia, by the
walk
way.
in, they steal all this money, they walk outside, the cops stop them, then they go, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I couldn't do that. Here's the money back. No charges, right?"
No, they can
No,
charge
that's
that person.
illegal.
I'm going.
Okay, see,
It's the same thing. You committed a crime.
No.
You committed a crime by having those documents,
I'm
right?
going to go
You
100.
took those documents with you
That-
to your home.
that is
That is
true.
a crime, period.
That is
Done.
true.
End of
Okay,
story.
now
You can't just be like, "Oh, well, I
If-
didn't realize I couldn't do that."
if you are clinically diagnosed with dementia,
Right.
Alzheimer's, anything like that, any type of mental
Mhm.
disorder like
Right.
that,
Right.
you can no longer stand
Right.
trial. They
Right.
cannot charge you.
But no, that's at the time.
It
though.
doesn't matter what the time was.
Right.
Look,
That
dude,
is-
I was in
that
a,
is
look. I went to a courtroom.
ridiculous.
Look, I was in a courtroom, right? I was getting ready to go to court. They was getting ready to start picking jury everything, and I just stood up there wobbling back and forth. And the judge looked at me and was, "What is wrong with you?" I showed him my hand. I had 3rd-degree burns on my hand. I was like, "Oh, I'm on Percocets, man. I can't. I can barely stand up." Slam that gavel. Out the door. They sent me home, and they had to continue the trial. They could not charge me while I was under the influence,
No.
right? And it's the same thing as if you had dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. You cannot stand trial.
Well, that is ridiculous. You should
I mean,
stand trial for things that you did when you
That's
were
competent.
competent.
That is,
It doesn't matter whether
I'm
you're
not
competent
saying
now or not.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just telling you what the law
No.
is,
There-
and the law is that you
that's-
cannot charge, you cannot
Right.
stand trial
It's
with
like
with that kind of disorder.
it's like
insane.
No, wait. In a way, I mean, he shouldn't be in office. Absolutely. If he's incapable mentally, then he needs to be pulled out of office. But
They
what
should
you guys
strip
are
his
saying
bank
though
accounts, too.
is it's like somebody coming in this country, and before you guys say, "Well, they need to know," we know. But if somebody comes in this country and doesn't know about one of our laws and breaks that law,
Right.
can they be? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. At that point,
That,
because
but
they're
that's,
mentally.
they didn't know about that law.
The,
Doesn't
the
matter.
country
They
you
should know.
look. The thing is,
I
like,
know we're gonna go into that whole you should know, but I'm just
No,
saying it's like
look.
it's like punishing a child for doing something wrong that they literally did not know was wrong.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But it's just like state to state. If you are riding around with your gun in your car and you're in New Jersey and a cop pulls you over, you are going to
You's
jail.
in trouble.
You're going to
I
jail.
understand that.
Right.
But
I
if
know.
you're in Ohio, you can ride around with that gun in your car all day long.
Right, I
Kentucky,
get
I'm
that.
pretty
I
sure. I
understand that,
don't
but
know about Kentucky. We're from
these-
Ohio. If you're going to travel to those places, you should look it up.
Right.
It's just
I
like that
understand.
WNBA player that
Let me for
went to Russia and got caught with the weed, and then how many years were they
Yeah.
trying to give her?
tons.
She hated America before that. She loved America
Yeah.
when they came and saved her.
Now let me put out there for our audience what the difference is. Okay, now they're charging Trump for the same thing.
Well,
Okay,
Right, that's what
Not
makes no
Biden.
sense about
Right.
it. But
Now-
Trump was the president.
Yeah,
Right.
the Presidential Records Act means all paper and documents created during his tenure or hers belongs to that president to
Right.
do what they want
Right.
with.
They can do whatever they want. with that
Okay, so
information.
I could give, let's just say President Trump. I could give President Trump, I'm sorry, guys, a top secret file. I mean, national security.
right.
He can get on TV and read it to the
And read it
American
to
people.
America. Right.
Because he can
He
declassify
can
it.
declassify anything. All right. There is no bureaucracy
Right.
or identity in the government more powerful than the executive branch. So the the United States Records Department
Right.
has no power over the president.
Right.
They can't say, we demand these papers back. You are not above the executive branch.
Right.
They have no power.
Right.
I mean, I believe Obama has all his records stored into a storage
library.
locker in
In a
Chicago.
shed.
You know what I mean?
In a
Chirac. So
Careful. They're
I
gonna have to
mean,
pull our
there
video again.
is. This is ludicrous.
It is. You're right. I'm not saying any of this.
I
is
think they're
correct.
setting it up so Biden doesn't
And-
have to go to prison.
Well, right.
Well,
Here's what
obvious.
they're doing. They're setting the narrative in advance for us. They're making it so that he gets off scot-free, no pun intended there. His son gets away with whatever he's done scot-free. And then they no longer want him as
President.
president or the next president. So they're setting it up to say he's incompetent now. Now somebody else can step in.
They're
and-
going to use the
and-
25th Amendment on him.
Right, and
More
somebody
than
else can
likely.
run in his place or whatever.
Well, they
however
just
they're
take
gonna
it.
do it.
25th
You know what I
Amendment
mean?
would just strip him out of office, and then it would
Right.
either be Kamala Harris and then we have
Let's
So
hope
that's-
it's not Kamala Harris.
I
That sounds
don't-
really terrible.
Technically,
I don't
that
want it
can't
either.
happen. I mean,
I
but
mean,
we're not going to get into
What did
that
Kamala
argument
Harris
right now.
say? I would bomb Russia to show my dominance.
Apparently.
Lift your leg and pee on the tree. That's my territory.
Yeah.
It's
And we wonder why Putin looks at us like, what is wrong with those people? I mean,
Well, we have
he even said it. He's like, you guys are real concerned with what's happening here. He's like, don't you have your own border problems?
Yeah.
But you're worried about my border.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
we
Right.
have our own problems. We have
Right.
our own border problem. We have a mentally incapable president.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
We got a
on
lot
and
of
on.
problems.
I mean,
it
Yeah,
sounds
we do,
like.
and we should be dealing with our own problems instead of
Exactly.
dealing with somebody else's. Man, we have a migrant problem. We have so many problems
would
right
like to-
now.
Place in a possibility here.
Did you see? Did you see the Senate is still trying to push that bill through
Yes.
for the $95 billion
Yeah.
to send most of it to Ukraine again? Like that's hundreds of billions of dollars that we have sent to these
Yeah.
people. If it wasn't for us, the war would have been over in 24 hours.
We're
I
broke.
think the
Stop
reason
it.
that
We-
I think the reason why the
been
government
over.
kind of acts the way it does in a lot of ways is because it's a reflection of who we are as a people right now, where people don't want to take care of their own problems and just want to worry about what everybody else is doing around them.
The hell you say?
That's been like that for a while.
Yeah, it's
I
a
agree.
cultural problem. It's not, that we need to fix inside our own society.
I need you to stop bouncing your hands, Scott. I need you to undo your hands and quit rolling that in your hands. Man, I'm so worried about what you guys are doing.
Would you stop worrying
Hold on.
about
Look,
If
what
you're
we're
worried
doing?
about this, you should definitely be worried about that.
I got
What do you
that
mean
right
I'm
behind.
bouncing?
Okay, that's true. That
What
is
do you
true.
mean
Hold on.
bouncing?
Hey, this is close
Look,
hand. This is
Hold on.
this
I'm
is
gonna do
close
America.
combat.
I'm worried about what you're all doing. Let me give you some money.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Wait, yeah, hold on. Yeah, I like this.
By all
Hold on.
means.
Just,
All right.
you just stop doing what I tell you to do. I'll just give you some money.
Oh,
Wait, we're your own
There's
people.
obviously a lot more in Ukraine that we don't know.
Right.
There is
we still don't know the whole
there is
story.
no interest of America to protect Ukraine unless
Right.
they're protecting lies and they're protecting
Right.
corruption and they're protecting things that we don't know about.
Right.
Because I truly don't think anybody in America really cares what happens in Ukraine. I mean, I care about the people of the
No,
world.
I don't want to see anybody
Right.
hurt.
No, but I
right,
don't want anybody
but-
hurt. But
I feel the same way that what Trump said. You know, man, I just want people to stop dying.
right. I mean,
Exactly.
No,
I like how that lady tried to answer the question. He was like, "No, I just want on both sides. I want people to stop
yeah,
dying."
I-
And she-
I mean,
it was funny.
We're funding the death of people.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
Right.
We're
yeah, that's
paying
what it
for
comes
it.
down
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
We're paying to slaughter hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands.
Here's
of
another
people.
dollar for
Right.
another life. Another dollar for another
And
if
life.
this-
Here's another
and-
dollar for another life.
If
Yeah.
this
On
could
both sides.
have been stopped a year and a half ago, and it would have been stopped a year and a half ago, I
Totally.
think, and it was done by
Dude.
Boris Johnson at whoever's behest. I think the people of this country deserve a refund of a year and a half worth of paid military
It was
aid
our
to
own-
a country.
it was our own
when
country,
this could have
too.
been
It's-
done.
This war would have been over in 24 to 48 hours if
Right.
we would have stayed out of it.
Right.
I
But
mean,
we funded
Yeah.
it from the beginning.
in that interview,
They've ran out of they've ran out of ammo
in that
like
interview,
5 times.
yeah, in that interview, they're like,
Probably more than that.
They just
do
wasted
you
bullets.
have more expansion ideas after Ukraine? He's like,
Yeah.
why would I?
Yeah.
You know what
He
I
doesn't
mean?
care
He
about
doesn't care about
He just wants
that.
that buffer zone back,
Yeah, he's like,
and he wants a lot of the stuff that's going on there to stop.
it from the river east of Kiev or Kiev, whatever you want to call it, has always been Russian territory.
Right.
All right, and the Poland's and Russia battled back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the world wars. New territory lines were drawn,
Right.
but the Ukrainian was never an ethnic people. Ukrainian meant lives on the border,
Right.
lives far out.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's-
mean?
Right.
He explained that. Yeah.
So that it was just like the Palestinians have no. There was never a Palestinian people.
right.
You know what I mean? That was actually given to them by Romans, from what I've understand.
Huh.
To try to, because I learned when countries take over other countries, they try to destroy their roots. They try to take away their
Yeah.
identity.
Right.
So they'll
Erase
give them a
their history.
different name.
Destroy your
erase
history,
their
take it away.
So you will convert into those people. So your roots will slowly, transform into the roots of
Right.
the country that took you. So that is what's happened over and over and over again.
Right.
And it creates conflict.
Right.
It's the way that they start coups. It's the way they take over populations. It's all propaganda. It's a propaganda war.
Right.
After you take over a country, then you have to convert their people into your people.
Right.
And
Right.
I've learned that all of Europe is basically the octopus arms of America. And it makes sense if you look at when the White House says men can be women, women can be men. You know what I mean? All of the European countries that are in NATO all did the
The
same
next
thing.
day, the same.
next
yeah,
day,
same thing.
everybody.
Right.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yes.
there's one centralized controller of everything.
I think you were saying just the other day, I do believe you were talking about the possibility that they were trying out things over in Europe
Yes.
that brought it over. And I just saw a story that kind of, has relevance to that. I saw that Biden now wants to implement an ESG farming campaign.
I saw that.
So now the reason why this is interesting, because someone says that somebody said that it is exactly like the European farming
Yeah.
thing institutions that are
Mhm.
going on right now, where all the European
Well,
farmers
those
are
actually,
out there.
Those actually are done now. They backed
Right.
off. The government seceded. Man, they bent their knee to
Yeah.
the farmers
That's
and was
good.
like, "Hey, we're done."
But
As they should. It's their
Yes,
people.
they should.
to clarify what Devin's saying, what I said the other day, since you guys don't know,
Go ahead.
is if you look at Europe, if you look at like France, England, Germany, all these people, European countries that allowed migrants, the extreme flow of migrants to come in their country, I think that was a test by America. Let's see how their populations react. Will they welcome them in? Will they just be like, yes, come on in? Or will they revolt against the government? Well, when none of the revolts happened in the other countries,
Well, they did. You didn't like
Well, I mean,
when they were doing
they
that. They
did,
did
but-
because, like in Germany, I remember when they were doing that a few years ago. They were flooding Germany, and like their women were getting raped on the streets.
right? Well,
all
I'm not
types of
saying that.
stuff.
I'm saying
They were revolting against it. Just nobody. They didn't tell nobody
Right,
they were.
It's not a revolt of protest.
how easy were those protests quelled? You know what I mean? Or squashed
just-
by the government.
They just
But
didn't show you.
after that happened,
They control the
after
media.
that, the migrant flood into those European countries, and it went successfully.
I don't think it went successfully though. I think that they just didn't show you, and they showed you how powerful the
What
propaganda
I'm
machine
saying
is.
is those countries burning now? I mean, are they, or did
It
it
went
just
through
they accepted
without
it?
collapse.
Okay, without
okay,
collapse,
I,
right.
okay, no, that I'll agree
Okay,
with.
so
Yeah, it's still there.
every
Germany and everything's still
German
there.
didn't go to the Capitol and lynch all the leaders. You know what I mean? And then
No, I guess no.
so that was a test. America wanted to test the waters. As soon as they saw it was doable, they opened our southern border, and just people started flowing, and 10 million people into this country who do not know the way of life of Americans.
Right.
That cannot be absorbed.
No, it cannot.
It-
Not on that number. You know, I mean, that's a big number. I mean, we have 300 million people in the United States, but like you just do 10 million more. That's a big
I mean,
change.
As you
That destroys, like we've talked about before, it destroys American culture. It destroys our economy. It destroys everything in our country. It's the easiest way to do it.
Dearborn, Minnesota.
I think they did
Or
it on
Dearborn,
purpose.
Michigan,
Yeah.
Minnesota. You have these pockets of Somalians. You have these pockets of
Haitians and
Middle Easterns.
Mhm.
They've never integrated into American society. They
Right.
created their own little pockets of their society from overseas.
Right.
So they live life like they did, and
They're not trying to assimilate. They're trying to
take over.
take
And
over,
I mean,
basically.
I welcome anybody here,
Right.
but I only welcome people if they want to be Americans.
Right.
And in
They
America,
need to assimilate.
I don't care if you are Muslim and you want to walk around in your hijab or practice your religion.
Right.
That's America.
Right.
Well, I would say that is
You have
America,
that freedom
actually,
here.
yeah.
But
Right.
I thought you was about to go against it. I was going to say,
No.
You read the First Amendment, right?
I don't care if you're Mexican,
Cut his mic.
Middle
Cut his
East.
mic.
Right, cut his mic.
I don't care any of that. But you're an American. If you want to have Jewish, you want to have Kwanzaa, have Kwanzaa.
Right.
Right, that's
Or not
America.
Kwanzaa,
I was going to say Kwanzaa is
Not
actually an
Kwanzaa.
American-made
Yeah,
holiday.
that was what
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
You
Yeah,
know
I'm
what?
sorry.
I asked.
That's that made up.
I asked Michael about it because he's from
He's like,
somewhere
"What's
over in
that?"
Africa. Yeah, and I was like, "You don't know?" I was like, "They say it comes from your country,"
Yeah.
and he was like, "No,
No,
I do
no,
not
yeah.
know." And I was
More
like,
lies.
"I was
More
like,
lies,
huh?" And then I
exactly.
looked into it because I was curious. After that, I was like, "Hold on."
I'm sorry, Jewish Hanukkah.
Yes,
But the Jewish don't come over here and tear down our Christmas trees because
Right.
it's not Hanukkah. You know what I mean?
right.
But that's what America is. You come here,
It's a
you
melting
practice your
pot.
religion,
You know?
you live your life, but you live in coexistence with Americans.
Exactly.
They don't want that.
Right.
They want
No,
to
they want
destroy
chaos.
American
They want to turn
culture.
our country into their country.
Yes.
Well, that and what's the easiest way to have
Create
people go against each other?
social chaos.
That's what I meant. Like, create chaos.
Yeah.
The easiest
Right.
way to create
Strife.
chaos is to put a whole bunch of people in a room who do not speak the same language.
You're right.
Right.
And to create
And
economic and
it
social
will
strife.
cause chaos real quick.
Yeah.
Have you
And-
ever been to the BMV?
Yes. Have you ever been to a truck stop
Yeah.
and the Russian guy in front of you who's trying to, do whatever?
He just
he's
wants a
doing?
scale slip, but he can't speak English.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there going, I always get behind these people. He's like, no, Miles, no, what? And he starts, you know what I mean? The poor lady
Speaking
behind
Russian.
the
Right.
cash register is just standing there like, I have no idea what to do. And it's like, I just want to buy my water and
Yeah.
leave.
Right.
And, you're
And
just-
get my scale ticket.
yeah, or a scale ticket.
Right.
And, I mean, people come here, they don't speak our language. We worked with a guy
I
at
don't-
work who could not read
Who's
it.
breathing really loud? I
have
keep on
no
hearing him
idea.
in fucking my ear. I'm like, whose nose is doing that?
No, they
Is it me?
they
I don't
can't
know.
read the signs. It was the guy that we worked with. I can't remember his name. He's like, I cannot read signs. I just look at GPS, and if it looks like the sign,
Match it. Right. Match it up.
like match it.
Are you
know
talking
what
about the two Russians that worked
yeah,
with us?
I think it was. He's like,
Yes.
match it.
I remember him.
And
I don't remember his name, but I remember that. And I was like, that doesn't work.
No, how-
Sometimes you'll see the same signs with it's several different exits
Yeah.
telling you that like
Sometimes they
you-
change the signs
Yeah.
too before the GPS is
Yes.
updated. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the GPS is probably speaking in Russian to him, and he's just like, "That looks close." I mean, when are you looking at the road? It's the match game. You know what I mean? That's dangerous. It's
Yeah.
dangerous. It's
But that is an easy way to cause chaos is just to put a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different countries
yep.
into a small city.
Right. And it creates major
Even
economic
even a
issues.
big even in a big city, man, that causes a lot of
Well,
issues.
look
I
at
have a-
Chicago right now. Look
Yeah,
at
look,
New York
City.
I have a-
Yeah.
I have a question. Have they ever officially made English the official
Yes,
language
yes,
of the
they
U.S.?
did.
Did
Yeah.
they? When did they
Yes.
finally do that?
That was like I want to say in the 80s.
no,
90s, yes.
no, I know
Oh,
it wasn't that
oh, you
long.
can look
Somebody's
that
got
up.
to
I can look
find
it up.
that.
Yeah,
'cause
no, it was pretty recent.
Anyway,
But,
I think it was like
we've
pretty
been-
recent, like
we've
in the
been
last
getting
10
on
years or so.
tangents.
Or
What?
We've been getting on major tangents here. Let's get back to understanding the reality of what this farming thing is, which is it's kind of funny. All right.
okay,
It's to stop global warming, so that's fun.
you mean
Okay, hold on. I got
unreal
your
thing.
answer, and you were right, Scott. In 2006.
thank you.
Really?
I thought it was
English,
very
the
recent.
official national language of the United States. The official national language of the United States. In the summer of 2006, the U.S. Senate passed an amendment to the immigration law, creating the
English to be our
English to be the official
Finally,
language.
thank you. Yeah, I thought it was
That's
very
weird.
recent. We went for this country went for a long, long time without having a quote unquote official language.
Was that 18 years?
That's kind of crazy,
Yeah,
actually.
it's about
Yeah,
eight in the
18
last
years.
18
yeah.
years.
18 years.
Yeah,
ago.
see, so it was Congress had never even considered declaring English the nation's official language until 1981, when a constitutional English language amendment was. No, I'm not reading all that. So I know it's something in the
Right.
80s, and it might have been done in the 1981, but it was put into the immigration
Right.
section saying, so if you're an immigrant, you come here, you must learn English.
Right. Finally,
Yeah,
thank you. I
so-
mean, but
But these,
unfortunately, they're still coming in. They can't even read our language.
as I said, these
or-
people are,
Right.
they're not.
It'd be weird. Could you imagine going somewhere and not speaking their language, can't read their street signs?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, I've
And
done it.
yeah.
I've never done it. I've never been anywhere besides. the United
But
States.
that
Been
being
to France.
said,
That's
that-
an interesting.
But everybody
that being
knows
said,
English.
yeah, the whole
yeah,
world
but it's
knows
still
English.
weird, man.
Yeah.
Yes,
The whole world. I mean, you
the whole
go
world
anywhere.
knows English.
I mean, in pretty much every other country, English is taught in schools
Mhm.
along with their national
It's
language.
their second
Huh.
language.
Because I mean,
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
we're the tourists of the world. We go everywhere. You know what I mean?
It helps a
Yeah.
lot if
Unless you go to Walt Disney World, then it's Japanese and Chinese people everywhere. They're in groups.
I want to hear about the farming.
All right. So
Let's get back to that.
this is done by a think tank, figuring out what they estimate this is going to cost us. So they're saying that the costs of cheese are going to go up 78%, beef up 70%, rice up 56%, chicken 39%, and eggs 36%. Are you serious?
Stop! I'm getting
Is this-
excited.
Yeah.
Stop
I mean,
it.
if people think that they're just going to
I'm
take
joking.
this as a loss and not charge the consumers, they're fools. So we're going to see even more increases again on our prices for food when we're already sinking.
Right.
And we also have the migrant crisis, which is also destroying our economy. When are they going to stop doing things that hurt us and start fixing our
They
problems?
want to hurt you.
I know, but it's time for them to stop.
Well, I don't
I
mind
would
going.
think
I
so.
agree with
It's time
that.
for them to stop.
100%.
I don't mind going to the store and buying a $10 pack of hamburger meat and it costing $17. I'm lying to you.
Yeah,
I
I was about
will
to say,
live
I would say,
out.
wait a minute.
I-
What are you doing that we don't know about?
Yeah, I was about to say,
we
I
need
mind
in
that.
on this.
I mind that a lot.
Yeah, I minded. I can't take it anymore. You know what I mean? Here soon, the city I live in is going to be really pissed off because there's going to be cows, chickens in my backyard, and they're like, "You live in the city," and I'm like, "Well, I don't care.
I don't
You know
care.
what
I
mean?
can't afford to eat otherwise.
Yeah. We're going
Selling eggs. Would you like to buy some?
We're gonna
Good
go.
luck affording that cow.
Right.
That's going to be an expensive purchase.
It is going to be an expensive.
Well,
purchase.
I don't. You know how much meat you get out of a cow?
A lot.
Yeah. I mean,
A
you
lot.
go. You think you go to Kobe's meat market, you buy like a quarter of a cow, and it's
Oh,
like
a quarter of a cow is a lot.
it's
That's going to fill your whole deep freeze.
it's grocery bags
Right.
full of meat, and you're just like, wow, you know what I mean? You don't think about how much meat that is. That's a
You don't even think
1,500
about
pound.
how you see cows, but you see them in the distance, and you're like, man, they're pretty big.
Oh,
and
they're
let's see
really
one
big.
upside, like up close and personal, and then you're like, the thing weighs 2,500 pounds.
Here's a story for you. I
I don't know how much they weigh, but
I owned a
they're
farm,
pretty.
You're
heavy.
pretty
36
close. You're
acres,
close.
and we didn't use nearly any of that land. You know what I mean? So we leased it out to a farmer to keep his cattle on.
Right.
Well, you're right. You don't realize how big cows are. There was
So they're
one,
right there.
one cow who just did not want to be in a fence. And it liked people. It loved people. It wanted to be around people. So
Right.
we'd wake up in the morning every once in a while.
Cow standing at your
Cow
window.
standing in a kitchen window. And this window was 6 feet off the ground. That cow
Right.
just stare at you in the window. And it just look at you, wondering what you're doing.
What's up, bro?
I'd call the farmer.
Morning.
I see
Yeah.
you eating my kid over there. That veal.
I'm very tasty. Let me in.
That looks utterly delicious.
Oh,
Sorry.
no.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Oh,
It had to be
no.
done.
Oh, no.
So we call the farmer. It's like, hey, that cow's out again. And he's beep, 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 son of a beep, beep, beep. I'll be right there. You know what I mean? And, so here he comes, and the cow sees him, and he knows. She knows what's up. So
Right.
here he comes. So she darts off like through the yard. He's got a big cattle guard on the front of his Chevy 3500. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a big truck too.
And he gets out, and he's like, get back in the fence. And the cow just looks at it. It's like, no, that guy nowhere. Well, he can't do anything by hand, so
Right.
he uses his truck.
Right.
He's ramming the cow with the cattle guard, not hurting this cow whatsoever.
No.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Cow just looking at him, like, keep it up, bro. So the cow eventually, he's starting to come at it with his truck again. Cow turns around, kicks right through his radiator. Antifreeze just starts spewing out everywhere. This farmer just looks at me, and I'm trying not to laugh.
I
You know
couldn't
what
have done
mean?
it. I'd have been rolling.
The cow, you could almost see a smile on the cow's face.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Right.
I told you.
I told you.
Well,
Yeah.
after it did that, it walked right back into the pasture. You know what I mean? Jumped the fence, went back with all its people. Like, I just wanted to screw with you for all.
All right.
Hey, every
got the
animal has
reaction.
its own personality too. So
He's like, you want some steaks? Because I'm done with this. I'm like, I'll take some steak. He never did. You know what I mean? Because the cows we had in our field were the birthing cows. There was
Right.
a bull out there and like 30 females.
I'll let that
And
go.
so it was National Geographic every time you woke up in the spring.
Right.
The cows out there humping, jealous of the bull. He had 30, you know what I'm saying?
he had his pick. Is that what you're
30
saying?
of them.
Right.
He
30
had
of
fun
them,
with
yeah.
all 30 of them.
Right.
Sometimes it was all 30 in one day. I'm like, that's a stud right there. But so yeah, I mean, he never shot it, but or processed it, but yeah, I mean, those are really big animals.
Yes,
you
they
can
are.
hit it with a 3,500 truck at
Right.
like 10 miles an hour, and
Yeah.
it doesn't care.
Yeah, and it just looks at
Yeah,
you
and
like
then destroys your truck,
right.
and then laughs at you and walks back into the pasture. It's the cows are huge.
I wouldn't want to hit one with my semi.
No, 'cause it's gonna.
Oh no, it's
gonna
gonna
hurt
hurt
you.
you.
It's
real
going to fly
bad,
through
yeah.
the air, probably get up, flick you off, limp off the road, and go back to whatever it was doing.
But your
I mean,
truck's destroyed.
The
Yeah.
strange
Yeah.
thing is though, you get cows like that, and the farmers will put donkeys out there to protect them from the wolves and the coyotes. Like
Yeah.
you would think, as big as they are, they would be fine.
Oh
But
no, my father-in-law, my wife's dad, he's got cows out there, and my little pit bull, man, just got in the fence and started chasing them around. They was kicking at her. She was like she had a big smile on her face,
Right.
running around
Yeah,
chasing them
having
around,
fun,
and
right.
like they were scared of her.
right,
She's just chasing them around. I was like, "Don't kick her! Don't kick
Yeah.
her!
right.
You get kicked by you having fun till you get kicked by one."
oh yeah.
That's
I'll
why
tell you
they-
an animal that's big, huge, as a moose.
Oh, I wouldn't want to mess with
Upstate
them.
New York, getting ready to go to Canada, and they told us that at this truck stop, you know, I mean, they were just talking, and this old truck driver sitting over there at this table, and he's like, "Don't honk at the moose." And I'm like, "What am I doing?"
No, I think that you're trying
It's
to
a-
fight it.
it's a
Yeah,
bull,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So you want to fight?
We're
Go
going
there,
up-
kick your car.
A backcountry road towards the Canada border, and there's a moose in the road.
Yeah.
You know, 2 lanes going north, 1 lane going south. We're
Right.
probably 10 miles from the Canadian border, and we're stopped. Moose in the middle of the road. I mean, it's as high as you can. It can
Oh
just
yeah,
look
they're
at you. It can
huge.
come in
Those
a-
things are huge.
Yeah, and this truck beside her, he's like, because he was ready for it to move. That moose looked,
Yeah.
It got
tracked
mad.
his truck, ripped that truck to pieces. Its
Uh-huh.
horns, it's in the
Oh
radiator,
yes, they are a
ripping it.
tough animal
That-
too.
The guy in the truck. I mean, I've never seen a look of fear. You know what I mean? He jumps in his sleeper. I don't know what he was doing back there. He's probably cowered under his bunk.
Probably
But-
cleaning his drawers out. I
This-
bet.
I'd have been jumping out the emergency door.
This I don't know. I think they call them cows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The male, but tore his truck apart.
Mhm.
I mean, literally,
Right.
the hood was just pieces.
Right.
When it was done, and
They
he
just
felt like
sauntered off.
that truck was dead. It just
Wandered off into the woods.
Yeah,
That's
well,
right.
It didn't help him go anywhere. He was still sitting there
Nope,
when I
yeah.
took off.
Right.
I don't think he ever went anywhere. He had to get towed
It's
out of there.
nuts.
Well, I don't know how we started on an
look at how
interview and
big-
ended
I
up
know, we
on
went-
ended
look
up
at how big
at,
they
at
are.
Moose, but there we are, and we made that full
Look
circle.
at how
so
big's that.
Our
that
typical
moose.
conversations, how they go.
Called bulls.
The bulls.
Yeah,
I
bulls.
think we're
I think the
getting
females
close
are
to
cows.
time, aren't we? Mason?
We are. We were at 4 minutes a little bit ago. He put his fingers up. I was wondering what it was
He's not
called.
paying no attention to us now. Or
How much time we got left?
25 seconds.
oh,
Okay, well, guys, we're going to wrap up this
45.
show.
40.
And 45 seconds. Okay,
Okay.
we're
40
gonna
seconds.
wrap up. No, we're going to wrap
We're not
up
gonna
this
do
show
that.
for today. Like I said, Greg, Chris, Scott, Devin, we appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that
Like,
bell,
share,
like, and definitely share this so we can get this out to as many people as we can. We're trying to grow this thing. Once again, I appreciate watching.
Right.
God bless America.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Peace
Be
out.
safe out there.
Later.